don't know by now, Eggman Memories released a few weeks ago, and with that, there's been many changes and new characters added for the survivors. Now, inside this video, we're going to be ranking all 9 survivors that are currently inside of the game from worst to best. Remember, a lot of this is opinion based, but also factual, based off the statistics and stats of each character. But before we begin, I want to say make sure to like and subscribe so you can get more content like this. And anyways, let's start off with 9th place, or really the worst character. Coming in 9th place for me, I generally think it has to be Tails. Now, for you 2 Tails mains out there, you have to listen to me, okay? Until he gets his buff, he is definitely the worst character as of now. If you don't know what his buff is, most likely in the second part of version 0.2 or version 0.3, he's going to get the ability where he can pick up survivors while he's gliding, and I assume something else as well. But as of now, because of the 2 new EXEs and 2011X getting a buff, it is very difficult to play Tails inside of his meta. Especially if the fact that one of the maps he's really good on, which was not perfect, is removed for the time being. He only has a few maps that can actually work in his advantage. For example, say if he's versing a Colossus, right? And he tries charging up his cannon, because of how fast Colossus is with certain abilities, he can just immediately get wiped out, blocked, encountered, and so much more. Or when fighting somebody as a Tails doll, because of the Tails doll's glide and mines, anytime you try to use your ability, there's a high chance you'll get hit and take a lot of damage. Even though the Sun is strong, it's just really not worth it to play him right now, since in teams of 7s, there are 2 characters you can't use, so I recommend not using Tails. Even then, during Last Man Standing with his buffs, almost every EXE counters him, so either he needs a huge buff, or like I said, the additional abilities will help him out. But as of now, he is in 9th place. Now, some of you might be writing in the comments when I say this, but coming inside of 8th place has to be Amy. Now, before Amy used to be a very good survivor, and I'm not saying that she isn't. The issue is with the EXEs, since she can get 2-shot most of the time by the Colossus, or hit many times by the Tails doll, it is very difficult to play her. For example, because of how high Tails doll's jump is, 2011X's jump, or the fact that Colossus can block, when using Amy, if you throw your hammer, you straight up are super done for if they use any abilities that can get you close range. Secondly, since she is such RNG reliant, sometimes you get very bad combos. For example, you can get Knuckles card and the Moon card, which although gives you a long stun, because of how small your radius is, and the newer EXEs having some ranged attacks, it is pretty complicated to play her. Even though she can be crucial if you don't have a cream on your team because of her tarot card, the Sun, which allows you to heal, most of the time that extra little HP doesn't really help for how much damage EXEs do. I mean, believe me, I don't think 5 damage is holding up against the 50. It's like trying to put a bandage on a missing arm. It just doesn't really work. But sometimes, depending on how you play her, you can use her to actively snipe the EXEs from long range, but using her other abilities at close radius is very difficult because of how the movesets work for the EXEs. This is why we're putting her aside of 8th place for now, but if she ever gets any balance changes or anything, she'll probably be a lot higher. But in general opinion, the rest of the survivors are so much more crucial right now. Coming in 7th place is one of 2 survivalists inside of the game right now, and that is going to be Eggman. Now, Eggman is still an absolutely insane survivalist, don't get me wrong. I mean, the fact that he can block something as Colossus' charge or outrun people like Tails doll who can't actually see is really important. The only issue we'll have with him is the fact that he is a survivalist. If you try running away or mistying your shield, the amount of damage you can take from the EXEs is crazy. Unlike 2011X, where you could double jump to escape him, you'd either have to turn invisible, use his grab attack, or dodge trickery, which takes a lot more time. These new EXEs can really easily catch up to him. Remember, Colossus has the climb, Tails doll has the double jump and the glide, and even with 2011X now, he's just so fast, especially after being stunned, it's insane. So because of that, and the fact that they nerfed his jump a few months ago, it is very complicated to play him if you're being all by yourself. Now, the reason why he isn't below the other 2, Amy and Tails, is for the fact that the synergies with Metal Sonic is able to heal him by 2.5 times more, and the fact that he's still a really good survivalist. I mean, believe me, if you're able to just jump over Colossus' rush attack, he basically can't do anything. Or the fact that during Last Man Standing, Eggman's just generally strong, since Tripwire doesn't actually have anything to see from long range. 2011X is 2011X, so you know how that happens. And Colossus, if he isn't playing carefully, can easily get stunned for a long time, because of how long his stun is during Last Man Standing. And since EXEs can hit multiple people, it's important for him that he also plays as a shielder, since he's able to shield important people such as Cream or even Amy depending on who you have a healer. But right now, in my opinion, I think that it's a lot more important to have stunners or people who are more supportish, so that's why he is coming in 7th place as of now. But of course, as we all know, 2011X is the slowest thing alive. Now I know a lot of you are probably going to execute me in the comments, but coming in 6th place is Metal Sonic. Now this is not me saying that Metal Sonic is bad in any means, because depending on how it works inside the matches and how good the EXE are, you can do a lot against the EXE because of how insanely long your stun is. The problem I have with them is randoms and playing as the EXE. Believe me, because of how big Colossus's hitboxes are, and the fact that you can just outrun him is insane. Or the fact that anytime you have a random playing as Metal Sonic, there's such a high chance they just don't know what they're doing, and you can just easily get them outside of a match. I mean, believe me, when I'm playing Tails Doll or Colossus, and I turn to the left and see bro healing in front of me, we have issues. But it's also the fact that since if you don't have an Eggman or a Tails on your team, since there's not really that popular picks of them, moment, since it takes you so long to heal, I believe around 14 seconds, if the EXEs come for you, you take your normal damage. This might not sound like a lot, but remember, someone like Colossus or 2011X who do close to 50 damage and 50 damage, if you're healing up to 150, which is normally your max, you're taking a third of your HP off just because they got to you. Not to mention that if you try charging up and you're too close, they hit you and you deal damage, and basically if you don't have any teammates to help you out, there's no chance for you to survive. Now this is a really big issue for him because he really relies on his teammates in certain situations. Most of the time if you get targeted as a Metal Sonic, there's almost no hope of you winning for a fact that how fast the EXEs are and the fact that you can't actually use your ability. I mean, I don't know what healing in front of the EXE does, but he'll probably do something. But some good sides that do come to him is because of how slow Colossus is and how big his area of radius is. You can actually tell where the EXEs are from pretty far away. But for those reasons, Metal Sonic is not that bad of a survivor in general, but mostly it relies on your teammates. Because if your teammates are playing bad or you have pretty bad skill with him, he is pretty difficult to play. Then again, I don't play Metal Sonic that often, so I might be a little wrong here. But he's coming in 6th place. Now, coming in 5th place was actually someone I was going to put into last place, but after playing him a bit more, he deserves to be in this place. And that is Silver. The reason why I said I wanted to originally put him as last place is because of how his role works. If you don't know, Silver is a support, where his 2 moves either stun the EXE in the air, then launch him away, or hit the EXE with rocks, which slows them, knocks him back a bit, and makes it so they can't attack for a few seconds. Then of course he has his one passive and his other ability which allows him to rewind time and fly. Now the main issue I have with him is that most of the time his hitboxes are really janky. I'm a controller player which plays on PC, but the issue you have with him always is you have to aim upwards to actually hit him. If you're not aiming upwards, it's such a hard time to hit the EXEs because how the rocks arc, and half the time you're just throwing them straight into the ground, even though you're looking straight. Or another fact that even if you do grab the EXE with your ability, they almost break out of it instantly, since say if you're on a computer, you can just spam a whole bunch of buttons and it breaks almost immediately. But coming to the positives is that honestly, he's basically a survivalist. If you're facing someone like a 2011X or Colossus, you can just fly across the map within a few seconds, especially if you get hit on accident. I mean, when you're playing on Mystic Cave, for example, the fact that you could be standing on the ground and just fly to the top of the map is insane. Especially with the fact that there's many areas in those maps that don't have invisible walls, where you can just fly into the sky and land at these random areas, and the EXE just can't find you. Or the fact that he works really good as a delayer. If the EXE doesn't realize you use your ability to go back in time, basically you can use it and they start chasing you and you can fly back. Now, if they catch you, you're pretty screwed if they know you're using it. Especially for a fact that it drains so much of your energy bar, which is what you use to use your abilities. It is a very convoluted character, and hopefully he does get a buff soon. What I mean by buff is I think the rock should actually stun, and I think the fly should actually use his telekinetic power, but that's just my opinion. But for all of that, Silver does come inside of 5th place Because although his moves aren't really that warranted, depending on what you play on, you can easily snipe the EXE from across the map and do major things depending on the controller compatibility. Or also for a fact, like I said, you can just up and away fly from any EXE or any danger around you. For these reasons, he can be really good when trying to distract the EXE, but anything other than that, then he just doesn't really work. And thank the Lord that he also has 105 HP, which means he isn't two-shot like almost every other character in the game is the Colossus. Coming in 4th place is by far the best support inside of the game, and it is insanely important inside of his meta, which is Cream. Now listen, Cream is a really good healer once you actually hear her stats, and is such important inside of these matches. Cream, when she has cheese, is able to heal teammates for 70 HP and herself for 10 HP. When cheese is gone, when she gets low enough, she heals for 35 HP and herself for 5. Now what makes this so broken is because of how high the damages the EXEs do, like I said, around 40 to 50. Since many people are two-shot, getting that 70 heal basically resets all the EXE's progress. Most of the time, you're going to be fighting a Colossus or a Tripwire, since 2011X isn't that popular, and when that happens, since it takes so long for EXEs to catch you sometimes, you can heal up your entire team and completely ruin the progress. Remember, Tails Doll has naturally low damage, and someone like Colossus is slower, so it gives you enough time to work, and as long as you have someone supporting you, for example, say if a Knuckles is your friend and is staying with you, you can insanely impact the team by how much you can help. I mean, remember, the fact that you can heal everybody for 70 HP, which basically turns everyone from 1 to 2 shot back to full HP, is really good. And although she only has a little glide and her dash ability really doesn't do much, as long as you have someone with you, even an Eggman for example, that'll help you out so much if EXEs attempt to target you, since you're able to get out of the way. And because of how high and height oriented these new maps are, your glide ability can last for so long, and since only one of the EXEs can kind of fly, which is 2011X because of his grab, and Tails Doll, but she doesn't actually fly, you're basically able to camp out in the sky if the EXE comes for you. And because your dash ability gives you high speed, you can easily escape out of any situation. Cream is an absolutely amazing support character who almost always helps out the team in the best way. Although she is kind of weak on her own, it's almost always supported by other people, and honestly for those reasons, she deserves 4th place. Now coming in 3rd place is the big bad himself, Knuckles the Echidna. Now, Knuckles isn't coming in 1st and 2nd for reasons I'll get to later, but he is not to be slept on as an opponent. His base punch alone has such a long stun, and because of how slow some of the newer EXEs are and stuff, it works out really well. I mean, think about it. If a Colossus tried doing a dash or a grab, your block, which is one of only 2 moves in the game, can actually stop them. And the fact that you can actually stop his game-breaking ability is such an important thing, because even though Colossus can grab people with his thing, if he doesn't dash into the wall, basically he only does around 25 damage, which isn't really that much when you think about it. And especially for the fact that you can stack stuns on because of his pedestal passive, which allows him to stack stuns, you can stun EXEs for a lot longer than they normally should. This means that if someone's getting targeted, for example, let's just say a Tails, because you're able to stack stuns, you're able to let them get farther away than normal. Or the fact that, say if Cream is healing, for example, you can block with your block and then stun the EXE again. And remember, he's one of only 3 characters in the game, or actually I think 4, that can actually do this. Those other characters being Blaze, Sonic, and I think Tails with his laser beam, but I have to double check. And because of this, he is such an important character when it comes to actually helping your team, and the fact that you can glide around and juke out the EXEs because of how they work is really important. Remember, when you're playing as an EXE, they change the camera a bit for it to be so wide, so when Knuckles tries to dash away, it is very easily possible to lose them. And even if you don't lose them, because of how quick their dashes are in the sky, it is a pretty complicated way to actually hit them. This is why Knuckles is such an important character to have on your teams, because even though he might be one shot, he always has another punch to swing. And especially since, like I said, if the EXEs have a pretty hard time dodging, and if they do try to jump, he does have kind of an upswing, so he's able to hit them in the sky. He honestly deserves 3rd place. But for the top 3 characters, any of them could really be interchangeable, because they're all such good characters, and in my opinion, the best inside of the game. But with that, we're going on to second place. Coming in second place is my personal main, and I think the second strongest character inside of the game is Blaze. Now you might not agree with me on this, but Blaze's moveset is kind of just a little cracked. I mean, for starters, if she does hit her stuns, she has a 16-second cooldown stun, which if you hit the EXEs enough time, also applies burn. I mean, someone like Colossus is already slow enough, and he gets even slower with that. Or, let's look at her spear ability. With her spear ability, even if an EXE is stunned, when you hit him with it, it chucks him as far away and adds to your burn meter. This is really important since you're able to stun stacks with other This is really important because you're able to stun stacks with other survivors, so after the EXE is stunned a whole bunch, you can chuck your thing and launch the EXE even farther away. This can also work on maps such as Mystic Cave or Green Hill for the fact that you can chuck the EXE into the water or down the entire map. Then for Soulfire, it is really important and good for how long it does a burn, knockback, and since it's able to knock off EXEs, like I said before. And because of this, she's a stunner and a mover. But the only issue you have with her is if she misses her stun. When this happens, her bar goes significantly down inside of charge, and her cooldown is instead of the normal 16 seconds, becomes 26 seconds. This means that if you're missing your attacks, it takes a lot longer for them to come back, and that can honestly weaken you since she doesn't have any special gimmicks other than her flames. What I mean by this is she has no overshield, no ways to parry attacks, she just is a melee stunner. But then again, let's not forget Last Man Standing. When playing Last Man Standing as Blaze, she has such an insane ability that the fact that her 16-second cooldown, mind you, which is already pretty low compared to other abilities, becomes 10 seconds. Excuse me, but 10 seconds per stun? That's a little strong. And the fact that you can just keep farming stuff up, and if you're fighting any other EXE even a Colossus, it is really difficult to dodge her attack. Since unlike someone like Sonic or Knuckles that has at least a second startup for their actual abilities, her, as soon as you click the ability, you are launching in that direction. This makes her such an important asset to the team, and you'll almost always see her inside of every single match because of how strong her abilities is, how good her passives are, and in general how easy it is to play the character. But with that, we're going on to the first place character, which I believe in my last ranking was also first or second. Coming in first place inside of this meta is Sonic. Listen, I'll be any right as the next guy, but Sonic is such a busted character. I mean, even before with 2011X, which honestly majorly countered him, he could do so much to him, especially with his knockback. But with these two new characters, Tripwire and Colossus, he can do so much more for the team. Now for starters, since he has his overshield, he can survive an additional hit from Colossus, or even just with one charge survive another hit from Colossus. Now this is really important because you really want to delay the EXEs as Sonic. Especially since you're faster, Colossus has a lot harder time trying to catch up to you, since you're basically the same speed. Then not to mention that even if the Colossus tries blocking you, because of how quick the turn radius is with something like your drop dash, you're able to easily turn away and get out of the way and basically make the EXE lose a lot of distance on you. Or if you're fighting someone like Tripwire, if you hit her the 3 total times, the ragdoll launches her so far, and it's really important on a lot of maps, because like I said, you can just knock them off of certain areas. This although doesn't really work with Colossus since he's immune to knockback, but you know, it is what it is. Then coming on to his second ability, which is his peel out, it works so well against many EXEs, because you're basically, if you use your abilities just beforehand, there's really no way for him to catch up to you. For example, when I was playing Colossus and you have your dash, since it's slightly slower than peel out and lasts less time, if you use peel out, we can easily escape out of the way. Or if you're playing on a map like Hill Gym, you can easily just distract the EXE by going through corridors and you'll never find a Sonic. And since this Sonic gets so much invincibility frames, it is so important that he is used, since you're basically able to delay for additional 10 seconds at most. Now, although depending on how you play Sonic, there's a high chance sometimes you actually screw your team over. This is why it's important to use your abilities at specific times, but also kind of farther from the EXE. This is so that the EXE doesn't hit you and you take unnecessary damage, or for a fact that you can literally just save your teammates. I mean, you can't save Metal or Eggman, but I mean, listen, they already have enough inside of their kits that can help themselves out. They are fine. And because of all of this, Sonic is just such an important character to always be having on your team, since you can always snipe the EXEs out of nowhere, the invincibility frames, and just so much more you can do. Even during Last Man Standing, if you're playing someone as Colossus, good luck catching up to him, cause you just can't. But anyways, that was all 9 survivors ranked inside Elka Memories version 0.2. Now your opinions might be a little different than mine, which I'm sure all of us have different ideas on who's the strongest, so make sure to comment down below and who you think the strongest survivor is. But anyways, thank you for watching, I hope you liked and enjoy, but if I don't catch you in game, then I'll catch you next video. Later!